Congratulations, you've been hired as the night keeper of Hollow Bridge, but beware. Not everyone who takes this job makes it till dawn. Hollow Bridge. It's an ancient stone structure standing guard at the edge of town for centuries. By day it's just a bridge, a quaint relic of a time long past, with cars and pedestrians crossing without a second thought. But after midnight, it transforms. It hides something sinister. Locals whisper about it in hushed tones, stories passed down through generations. They speak of an accident, a terrible event that happened so long ago its details are lost to memory, like a worn photograph, but its legacy remains. They say that since that fateful day, every night something strange, something unnatural happens here. A darkness clings to the stones long after the sun has set. The bridge itself seems to breathe with the weight of its history. The ancient stones, worn smooth by time and weather, seem to hold memories within their cracks and crevices. During the day, you might admire the craftsmanship, the way it arches gracefully over the dark, swirling water below. But as twilight descends, the shadows lengthen and twist into unsettling shapes. The gentle gurgle of the river begins to sound like faint, mournful whispers. The very air around it grows heavy, thick with an unspoken dread. The townsfolk know to avoid it after dark. They take the long way around, their superstitions a shield against the bridge's nocturnal secrets. A young man, let's call him Alex, was new to town and desperate for work. He saw a notice pinned to the community board. Night keeper for Hollow Bridge. Simple duties, good pay. He didn't hesitate. The task sounded almost too easy. Watch the bridge from a small guard hut at one end and just make sure nothing happens until dawn. But the old man who hired him, his face a roadmap of wrinkles, gave him a stark warning. His voice was low, serious. "Son," he said, "whatever you do, if you hear or see anything strange after the clock strikes 12, never, under any circumstances, step onto the middle of the bridge, stay in your hut. Stay safe." Alex, dismissing it as the ramblings of an old-timer, just nodded and smiled, taking the heavy iron key and the old oil lantern. The first few hours of his first night passed in peaceful monotony. The silence was only broken by the gentle rush of the river and the distant hoot of an owl. Alex sat in his small wooden hut, the lantern casting a warm, flickering glow around him, a tiny island of light in a sea of darkness. He sipped his coffee, feeling a little foolish for even considering the old man's warning. It was just a bridge. But then the church bell in the distant town square began to chime. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 12, midnight. As the final bell faded, a sudden, unnatural cold swept through the hut, extinguishing his lantern in a single gust. The air grew still, heavy. A thick, rolling fog began to creep up from the river, swallowing the bridge stone by stone. And then, through the swirling mist, a figure materialized. It was the silhouette of a woman, walking slowly, deliberately, along the very edge of the bridge, her form hazy and indistinct. Alex's breath caught in his throat. He fumbled for his matches, his hands shaking, and relit the lantern. He held it up, peering out the small window of the hut, hoping the light would cut through the fog. He rubbed his eyes, convinced it was a trick of the light, a product of his tired mind. But the woman was still there. Her face was a blur, hidden by the thick, ghostly mist and the shadows of the night. She moved with an eerie grace, her feet seeming to float just above the ancient cobblestones. Suddenly, she stopped, right in the middle of the bridge. She slowly turned, her entire body rotating to face him directly. And then a voice, chilling and ethereal, echoed across the water, seeming to come from everywhere at once. "You shouldn't be here. This place belongs only to those who never return." The night keeper's heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. He tried to step back, to run, but his feet felt as if they were bolted to the wooden floor of the hut. He was frozen in place, a prisoner of his own terror. The woman's presence was overwhelming, a crushing weight of sorrow and malice that pressed down on him. The air grew impossibly cold, and he could see his own breath misting in the lantern light. The fog swirled around her, making her seem both solid and transparent at the same time. The echoing footsteps he heard weren't hers. They sounded like they were right behind him, inside his own head. He felt a phantom touch on his shoulder, a cold that seeped through his jacket and into his very soul. He was trapped in a waking nightmare, staring into the heart of the bridge's curse. In that terrifying, endless moment, a horrifying realization dawned on him. He understood. This woman wasn't just a ghost. She was the asterisk ghost. The spirit of the person from the accident all those years ago, her soul forever tethered to this cursed crossing and the job. The night keeper, it wasn't about guarding the bridge. It was about feeding it. Every new keeper was an offering, another soul to keep her company in her eternal, lonely vigil. He was just the latest sacrifice. As the first hint of dawn painted the eastern sky, a final, despairing cry was swallowed by the fog. When the sun finally rose, the bridge was empty. The fog had lifted, and the stones were clear except for one thing. Lying shattered in the middle of the bridge was an old oil lantern. The townsfolk would soon wake, and someone would inevitably ask, "Where did the new keeper go?" They already knew the answer. He was with the bridge now. Some bridges are built to connect places, to carry people from one side to another. They carry cars, they carry history, they carry memories, but Hollow Bridge, it only carries secrets. It's a bridge to nowhere, a final destination. So if you're ever out late and you see a job posting for a night keeper at a lonely, ancient bridge, remember this story. Hard work might not sleep, but neither do the dead. Thanks for listening to this tale. If you enjoy stories that send a shiver down your spine, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more dark mysteries. Until next time, stay safe and be careful what secrets you uncover in the dark.